Hello, students and viewers at home. My name is Maduabuchi from Geography Department of St. Charles College, Onitsha. Our topic today is world settlement and migration. Instructional objectives. By the end of the lesson, you students will be able to define settlement, differentiate between urban and rural settlements, mention the types and functions of rural settlements, explain the types and functions of urban settlements, explain favorable conditions that attract settlements, explain the interdependence between urban and rural settlements, define migration, explain why people migrate, mention forms of migration. Settlement definition. Settlement is a group of buildings with people living in them, and the people are making their living from their surrounding or their environment. Examples of settlement: our villages, Onitsha, town, Omo, etc. These are examples of settlements. Factors that attract settlement in an area. Fertile soil. Agriculture is a major human activity in the world. People are attracted to areas of fertile soil for agriculture. Land for building. People like to go to areas where there are land for buildings. Good transport network. People will like to move from place to place, so they always like to stay in an area where there are good transport network, like road, railways, waterways, airports. Security. Man always like to live in an area where there is security, economic activity like trading, farming, etc. Adequate water supply. Types of settlements. Based on development, we have two types of settlement. One, rural settlement. Two, urban settlement. Characteristics of rural settlements. To compare with urban settlements, rural areas have low population. Two, people in rural areas are mostly engaged in primary activities like farming, lumbering, fishing, small-scale trading based on their environment. If an area is a forest area, the people engage in lumbering. If it's a riverine areas, they will engage in fishing. Three, people in the rural areas are culturally homogeneous. They are related to one another. They are related and know one another. Four, no housing and traffic congestion. Five, in most rural settlements, buildings are isolated from one another. Six, rural settlements are small in size. Seven, they have few social amenities, and lifestyle is simple and quiet. Types of rural settlement. One, homestead. Two, farmstead. Three, hamlet. Four, village. Functions of rural settlements. Rural settlements perform these following functions based on their environments. Agricultural functions. These are being done by people that have vast land so that they can cultivate. Two, lumbering. Forest areas, they engage in lumbering, cutting down of trees and sawing them to plants. Three, fishing function. Riverine areas engage in fishing. Four, low-scale trading. That is buying and selling on a low key. Five, religious functions like a New Year festival and other cultural activities are done in the rural areas. Problems facing rural settlements. One, there are low rates of development. Two, there are rural depopulation because of migration to urban areas, especially the youth. Youth migrate from the rural area to urban areas to look for employment. Three, there are inadequate social amenities like electricity, pipe-borne water. Yes, the youth, when migrate to urban areas where there are electricity, pipe-borne water, and other social amenities. there are poor security because people are isolated. Urban settlement. Characteristics of urban settlement. Urban settlements are relatively large. That's to compare with rural settlements because urban settlements continue to grow. 2, they have nucleated settlement, that is compact of buildings. When you go to Awada, you see buildings clustered together. When you go to Amaba, the same type of settlement, clustering of buildings. 3, they engage mostly in secondary and tertiary occupations like banking, civil service, light-scale trading. 4, the people in urban areas are culturally heterogeneous. For example, in the house when you are living, your next door neighbor might be from Ondo State, the next person might be from Enugu State. So culturally they are different. 5, there are high crime rates. 6, there are social amenities like pipe-borne water, electricity. 7, they have large population. 8, buildings are of modern types. 9, there are high rates of traffic and housing congestion. For example, in Onitsha here, whenever in the morning, you find it difficult to go to school, to go to market because of traffic congestion. Types of urban settlement. 1, town, city, conurbation, metropolis, megalopolis, agglomerations. Functions of urban settlements. Urban settlements perform these functions. 1, administrative functions. These are seats of government. Urban areas are seats of government. Example, capital of Nigeria is Abuja. Ghana, Accra. 2, educational functions. Most high institutions are located in urban areas. Example, Cambridge, Oxford, Ibadan. They are all urban areas. Commercial functions, centers for trading, advertising, warehousing, banking. Market function, trading towns like Onitsha, Ibadan, Zurich, Frankfurt. 5, ecclesiastical functions. These are towns known for religious activities like Jerusalem for the Christians, Mecca for the Muslims. In our environment, we have Onitsha and Rome in Italy. 6, industrial function. Nnewi in Nigeria, Leeds in UK, Ruhr in Germany. These are industrial towns. 7, mining functions. Example, Newcastle in UK is known for coal, mining of coal. Johannesburg in South Africa is known for mining of gold. Jos in Nigeria is known for mining of tin. Port functions. These are towns known for importing and exporting of goods. In Nigeria, we have Lagos. Then we have Yokohama in Japan. Then royal function, home of kings and queens. Example, Ife, Benin, Sokoto, Onitsha. 10, entry port function. These are towns that are known for importing of goods and rebuy the good and export it again. Example is Singapore. Ways in which urban settlement differ from one another. 1, urban area differs differ in function. 1, for example, Awka is an administrative town. Onitsha is a commercial town. You see that two of them differ in function. The situation is how they're related to their environment. 3, site, physical location. Onitsha is located at the bank of River Niger, while Awka is located at the center of Anambra State. 4, size. Onitsha is smaller in size, is bigger in size to compare with Awka. 5, outlook, cleanliness. Some urban areas are clean, while some are not clean. Plan and layout, that's the structure. Some urban settlements are nucleated, while some urban settlements are linear. Classification of settlements according to pattern or shape. 1, nucleated settlement. 2, linear settlement. 3, dispersed settlement. Let me explain them. Nucleated settlement. Characteristics of nucleated settlement. There are compact of buildings. Buildings are close together. Example, when you go to Awada, you see the buildings very close to one another. They are culturally homogeneous. For example, When people in an urban area are living together, they have the same culture, in as much as they are from different backgrounds. For example, these are a land town, Onitsha. Almost all the Catholics are going to go to St. Mary's Catholic Church for their religious activities. Those of Anglican go to All Saints Church for their religious activity. There, see how that is how they are culturally homogeneous. They have collective social amenities. Maybe people in this area, they have one transformer, and the other area, they have another transformer or central school for all of them. 5, farmlands are outside the settlements. You don't have land in urban areas. If you want to farm, you go outside the settlements. This is an example of an urban settlement. See how example of nucleated settlement. See how the buildings are close together. The buildings are nucleated in form of a nucleus. Linear settlement. Characteristics of linear settlement. It is settlement along the roads or rail, rivers, or track. That's means of transportation. Characteristics. 1. Initial settlement is along the track. That is when the people try to settle in that area, they do not go inside. They continue to settle along the road. Further expansion is along the road. Garden is behind the house. Farmland is behind the garden. Okay, from this diagram here, you see the initial settlements that stopped here. So other settlements, look at the further settlement, they start to further settlement start expanding along the road. Dispersed settlement. Characteristics of dispersed settlement. This is a major characteristics of rural settlement. There are individual buildings. Buildings are scattered. They are separated from one another. From this building, see how from this diagram, you see how the buildings are separated from one another, linking by footpaths. You see the footpath linking the buildings. They are widely spaced apart. You see how the buildings are spaced apart. Location or sites of settlement. This is the physical feature that gave a town more advantage in terms of settlement. Onitsha, for example, Onitsha is located at the bank of River Niger, which attracts trade from other areas. Then we continue with the location. 1. Site for mineral deposit. Enugu, Onitsha. Enugu is known for coal. So it's coal that attracted the settlement at Enugu, Jos. It is tin that attracted the settlement at Jos. Even in the desert areas, once there is a mineral deposit, it will attract settlement in that area because man is an economic man. Site for defense. People always like to live where there is security. Fertile alluvial plain, where people go for farming. Sheltered identification of a coastline, where there are coast and bays. Most seaports are located at the base of their country. Natural focus of roads. Example, Chicago in USA. It's known that's a road junction connecting different parts of the country. 9th Mile in Enugu. When you go to 9th Mile, you connected Enugu from Enugu to Port Harcourt, Abakaliki. At that same 9th Mile, there's a road leading to Nsukka. At that same 9th Mile, there's a road leading to Onitsha. And that same 9th Mile, there's an old road leading to Onitsha. Natural site for generating hydroelectricity. By the side of lakes. Lakes provide fish, provide transport, and are centers for tourism. Example, Entebbe in Uganda is located by the side of Lake Victoria and is a site for tourism. Problems facing urban settlements. 1. There are high crime rates. 2. There are environmental pollutions. 3. There are unemployment and underemployment. 4. There are pressure on social amenities. 5. There are traffic and housing congestion. 6. There is high cost of living. 7. There is decrease in agricultural land. Interdependence between urban and rural areas. Urban and rural areas, urban settlements are interdependent. They depend on each other for their continuous existence. How urban settlement depend on rural settlement. One, urban areas depend on rural settlement for unskilled labor. Unskilled labor move from the rural area to urban area to look for job, industrial raw material. Large-scale farming are mainly done in the rural areas where there are farmlands, e.g. cocoa, palm tree, cotton, groundnut grown in rural areas serve as raw material to industries in urban areas. Provision of food. Urban areas depend on rural areas for foodstuffs like yam, plantain, etc. Medicinal herbs. Medicinal herbs and roots are brought from rural areas to the urban areas for use. Provision of market. Manufactured goods are sold in rural areas. 7. Urban areas depend on rural areas for religious activity like New Year festival and others. How rural areas depend on urban areas. 1. Rural areas depend on urban areas for employment. People migrate from the rural area to urban area to look for employment. 2. Market. Urban settlement provide markets for rural areas. Example, agricultural products. Higher education. Most big schools are located in the urban areas, so rural people migrate to the urban areas for higher education. Capital flow. Most banks are located in urban areas, so rural areas depend on urban areas for capital flow. Innovation diffusion. Just new ideas move from the urban area to the rural areas. Administrative activities. Most of the administrative headquarters are urban areas. Medicinal services. Big government hospitals like teaching hospitals are located in urban areas. Information. Information usually flows from urban areas to rural areas. Migration. Definition. Migration is the movement of people from one geographical area to another, either for temporary residence or permanent residence. In migration, source region is where the people are living, and where they are going to are the destination areas. Types of migration. There are 2 types of migration. 1, emigration, that is movement of people out of a region. 2, immigration, movement of people into a region. Forms of migration. 1, rural-urban migration. This is the major type of migration. It is mainly done by the youth. They migrate from rural area to the urban areas to look for employment or to enjoy social amenities. 2, rural migration. That is migration from one rural area to another rural areas. These are mainly done by farmers. Farmers migrate from one rural area to another rural area to farm. 3, urban-rural migration. That is migrating from urban area to rural area. It is mainly done by retired people. When they work in the urban areas, when they retire, they migrate to their villages and settle. 4, urban migration. That is migrating from one urban area to another urban area. It is mainly done by civil servants on transfer. A teacher can be transferred from Onitsha to Awka, or from Awka to Nnewi. That is migrating from one urban area to another. International migration. Migrating from one country to another. Somebody can migrate from Nigeria to Ghana and settle there. Seasonal migration. People migrate to America and Europe for summer holidays. Even farmers migrate to other areas to farm during farming seasons. Factors for migration. That is what make people to migrate. 1, natural disaster. Disasters like floods, earthquakes, droughts could force people to migrate. Insecurity. We have war. Political insecurity could cause people to migrate. Change in status. Higher education, wealth could make people to migrate. Physical condition, such as climate, soil, cause people to migrate. Difference in social amenities, like pipe-borne water, electricity, cause people to migrate, especially the youths. They migrate from rural area to urban areas to enjoy social amenities. Social stigma. When one is known for a bad character in an area, he or she migrates because he will not more be socially accepted in that environment. Difference in economic opportunities. People migrate to look for employment. Effects of migration on the source region. Remember that I said that the source region is where the people are living. That is the source region where the people are living. The effects are: 1, there is scarcity of labor. 2, there is decrease in population because there are people are moving to another area. 3, there will be disintegration of culture. 4, there will be low value for landed property. 5, there will be low development. Effects of migration in destination areas, that is where the people move to. 1, there will be high population because people have come to that area and the population will do what? Increase. Like most of us migrated from our different villages to Onitsha and population of Onitsha increased. 2, there will be high labor force. 3, there will be unemployment. 4, there will be high value for landed property. 5, there will be increase in crime rate. 6, there will be high cost of living. My students and viewers at home, we have come to the end of this lesson, and I hope you enjoy the lesson. Let me use these questions to evaluate you. 1, define settlement. 2, differentiate between urban and rural settlements. 3, outline the problems of urban settlements. 4, mention any functions of urban settlement. Mention any 6 functions of urban settlement and 4 functions of rural settlement. 5, explain the 3 forms of settlement. 6, mention any 5 ways rural areas depend on urban areas and any 4 ways urban areas depend on rural areas. 7, define migration. 8, outline 5 causes of migration. 9, mention forms of migration. Answer these questions and send to my WhatsApp contact number 080-387-43106. Thanks and God bless you.